8-6, huh? We should begin with 8-6. Okay. Sadashiva Samrambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Ishvaro Purate Miti Mujiveda Vivagine Vyomavada Vyapatatihaya Dakshinamurtya Namaha Sarvavedanta Siddhanta Gocharam Tamagocharam Govindam Paramanandam Satiguru Pranatoshmaham Om Shanti Ramji. Verse 8-6. All right. He or she does not regret. It's too strong. He or she does not regret actions done in the past. Is free of guilt. Is not worried about the future, and it is passionate with reference to what happens in the present. So the self has no history, the self has no story, there is no past, present, and future. And he or she who established in this knowledge somehow, due to the neutralization of all those vasanas, likes and dislikes, is free from concerns about what's going to come, what has come. And of course, when we remove the future and the past, the present is irrelevant. The present is just stands in reference to some anticipation, some memories about what happened. The self has no history. We cannot set about writing the story of the self in its infancy, then go on to detail its experience in childhood and youth, nor can we speculate about what might happen to the self in the coming years. In other words, the self is beginningless, it's always ever present, it's beyond time. It has no question of history or childhood, youth, and so on. It's changeless, beginningless, without attributes. It has no personality. Those are all qualities of the reflected self, the jiva. When we stop identifying the self with a particular body, we also stop claiming as our own the recollected memories, actions of the body. So the moment that this firm identification with the body-mind construct goes, so the claim we had about my history, my memories, my life situation, that begins fading, just like a movie, any other movie, it's just like, oh, that used to be me, It's just like that. Huh?
How again was the end of the movie?
How again?
So you watching the movie. How again was the end of the movie?
Yeah. You have to watch the movie. It has no personality. We don't claim the body, we don't claim the memories about past actions, we don't anticipate, karma or concerns about how things are going to unfold, and so on. This can only mean that life consciousness does not inhere in action, which functions impersonally, as do the laws of nature. So the actions in the first place, they all happen impersonally. And all other laws of nature happens impersonally. It's so easy for us to understand that everything in nature is happening on an impersonal level. It's all just things are what they are. Creatures just survive life, serving life, meaning to say life, serving as food for life. And everything goes on and we don't have any problem with life. With all events in the universe, it's all impersonal. It's only when it comes to the individual subject, believing to be the center of his own creation, that we claim our thoughts and actions. And there comes the identity, my thoughts, my actions, my karma, my concerns, my mind, my house, my wife, my job, etc., etc. But the self has no personality. Therefore, we do not feel guilt about any act of nature. When we see nature doing something, oh, that was unfair. There was this earthquake that destroyed the entire city of New York, for example. Oh, come on, Ishwara, you knew that there were so many people there. Thanks God that Jennifer was in India when it happened, because she comes often. But it's unfair. No. Well, sometimes we see the news and the TV and say, oh, come on. These people were so poor and they were going through so much hardship. Now they don't have even that little thing that they used to call home. No, life is impersonal. It's just like unfolding. Because fundamentally it's just the elements assembled together and then breaking down and reassembled and assembled together. There's nothing personal about life. Have you ever thought about that?
Yes.
Person comes only to the moment we identify with the body, and then we take things on a personal level. We don't feel guilt about any of those events of nature, such as an earthquake, nor should we feel guilt about some action a certain body perform. We have been talking often about this the last 2-3 chapters. What is the difference? The body is carrying on its activities. But what is the ego? What is the doer of someone firm on this knowledge? So it was all given up to Ishwara. Ishwara, you create me, you start acting up this piece of equipment since I was a child. I thought that I was doing my things, and now I understood that I haven't done anything so far. You were doing everything, but before I was taking it personally, and then I got entangled with the concept of my karma, and now I understand that it's all impersonal. And then you just get your equipment and say, hey, Ishwara, you look after it. You have been looking after it before, now you do as well, knowing that I have no concern. No, it's all part of the mechanics of the totality. Every piece of equipment follows its own nature.
But there is a danger there, of course. There's a danger there that the person hides behind the impersonal.
No, all this last verse is describing, because you were not here this morning, right? We enter into the descriptions of the one established in this knowledge, the Jivamukta.
Yeah, sure.
So the question of morality arises here. Am I not responsible for the things I do? So that's where the standpoint, the point of view. So what is our sense of responsibility? Because if Ishwara is doing everything, and then I just say, Ishwara, I stay to bed, I sleep, drink beer, watch TV, and you take care of paying my rent. And then Ishwara is going to say, hey, you have to buy the lottery ticket first, find a job, get, and then I pay the rent for you. I will get you, I will take you to the proper place, and then I'm going to make you pay your rent. We have a degree of responsibility, and this apparent contradiction is going to be resolved. Am I not responsible for the things I do? The question presumes that I am the body, or at least the intentional thought that sets the body in motion. For as long as we believe that I am the body, and then I have a karma, and I have to do things according to the moral principles, the laws governing the field. The moment that I know that I'm not the body, we say, hey, Ishwara, you can run the show here. You do things. And, of course, you do things through me. And I'm just conforming my life to you, to your laws, and I just follow Dharma, and I just live my life in your hands without any concern. The actions are taking place according to the nature of the construct. The construct was conformed to the Lord, to Ishwara. Actions are taking place, but there is a deep sense inside, or certainty inside, that I'm not doing anything, because there is only one doer. Understand? It's a very subjective thing when we say that the Jiva Mukta is free from action. Is that what the descriptions mean when you understand action in inaction and non-action in action, actionlessness in action? He's trying to describe that, which is very subjective. But the Jiva Mukta knows that Ishwara is the only doer. That's what it means by losing the sense of I and mine, of being the doer of your actions, the thinker of your thoughts. One understood. But one still does. And that's also the meaning of when you do, you consecrate your thoughts and actions to the Lord. You dedicate it because you know it's Him who is doing through you. You understand? The question presumes that I am the body, or at least the intentional thought that sets the body in motion. So I am that thought. The thought, oh, I want to go to the beach. So I am that thought. Therefore, I have to do something. Now, when we desire something, we conceive an action that can obtain the object of that desire. And if possible, we may perform that action. Every action produces a result, but the entire process is insentient. That is, it's not intrinsically moral or immoral. We may think that a particular action is a vice because it harms us or others, but such a thought is something superimposed on the action, not integral to it. That's a kind of, we start swimming on dangerous waters. But this is the truth. That's the highest truth. There is no such a thing as Dharma and Adharma. There are just Ishwara playing, all of us, everyone according to one's program. And then we're gonna do. You think that people who do stupid things does that enjoy to do stupid things? No. If it's up to every one of us, we only want to do beautiful actions so that everybody appreciates us and loves us. So everybody's following one's nature. But the entire process is insentient, that is, it's not intrinsically moral or immoral. We may think that a particular action is a vice because it harms others or us, but such is something superimposed on the action, not integral to it. Human actions like gravity.
Gravity in human action?
It's a confusing sentence, but that's not what it means.
Yeah, okay. Let's read it all first. Human actions like gravity operate impersonally. Okay, human actions operate impersonally, just like gravity does its things, and there's no independent individual claim, so that's me doing this or that. And when we use figurative language about divine justice or karmic retribution, we are merely expressing our emotions about the results of actions, which are distributed according to nature's ineluctable laws. What is ineluctable? Unavoidable?
Fancy word.
Yeah, it reminds me the days I used to live in Germany and my girlfriend wanted to teach me some words and I would almost break my tongue trying to repeat those words. How we as imagined personalities feel about these results is another matter. Let's see where it goes. There are some who misunderstand what is meant by saying that action is insentient and karma is impersonal. It may be taken as a license to behave without the restraint of conventional morality. We talk about different orders. So from this level of the jiva, we have to follow certain orders. From the level of Ishvara, there are other orders operating here that somehow this one not necessarily apply, because this one here, this one here, is a superimposition on this. You know? And up here, there are no laws, there are no attributes, there is just one. It may be taken as a license when we say that actions is insentient, but we know what insentient is, huh? It's something that does not have its own light, its own life, consciousness. It exists, but it's not sentient in the sense that it's not really self-conscious. Because as we know, the science is totally wrong when they believe that consciousness is a byproduct of matter, of the body. So actions come out of bodies. So if the bodies themselves they're insentient, so how about their actions? There is no sentience to it. It's just all mechanical, according to the overall program. So everything is just happened that way. And then we can easily see this watching nature. We see like, oh, nobody's feeling guilt there in the jungle. Huh? You go there, you pissed off the big lion, the mother, you do something or look at her a bit like that, and then she comes and eats you. I think, oh, she was not even hungry, she just was moody. And nobody finds it unfair. Because there is no sense of anything like a person who believes that life should behave according to my likes and dislikes. We take it personal because we believe, the jiva is its likes and dislikes, and we want life to conform to my likes and dislikes. Then out of this misconception, we build all this complexity of mental structures, of ways of thinking, moral, psychological, and so on. It's all based on this fundamental misconception: I am the body. But there is not immoral, there is not Adamic in nature. But the moment that human jiva comes into place and takes actions of life personal, karma is born. You understand? Karma is born out of human beings, or human jiva's minds, because they take it and then they immediately get a sense of right and wrong. They immediately have a vasana for what I like, what I don't like, and immediately they get a sense of, but this may be not right and this may be not wrong. Because we see in our program there is a little, a little chip with the information of universal values. Those are the universal values. And if you go against it, you're going to feel guilt. We know what is right and what's wrong. And we know what I like and what we don't like. This is our dilemma. I know what I want, but I also know what is good, which is the benefit of the total. And and then we have this moral, psychological difficulties that is only inherent to the human experience. The notion I am not the body has been the rationale behind the scandals that have grown around some gurus and their followers. But if we truly realize that we are not the body, we will not pursue happiness by trying to satisfy bodily desires. Right? If we know we are not the body, why are we going to be so fussy about wanting to satisfy our body-mind desires? And asserting that we are not the body does not grant the body-mind immunity from the results of our behavior. That answers your question, Didrik. No? And asserting, just the mere assertion that I am not the body, does not grant the body-mind immunity from the results of our behavior. Still, you're going to have to deal with your karma. Regardless of one being totally identified as the body or identified as the self. It's not enough to say I'm not the body to make me immune to the results of my actions. They are going to fructify. And there will be consequence. No? The absence of guilt about past actions and worry about the future that is characteristic of the liberated does not give rise to licentious behavior. Quite the reverse. When we realize who and what we are, and that happiness is not in objects, including the body, we naturally lose interest in objects, including our own body, which is different from neglecting the body. We don't want to satisfy any unnecessary desire of the body or of the mind. We are no longer concerned about what the body did or what it may experience now or in the future, nor are we anxious about what is happening to the body now. If the body is an object and we are not any object, why should we worry about the body? The body is Ishvara's concern, not ours. There we go. I did not create this body. Something created this body. Well, we can call life. Ishvara we can call life as well. Life has produced this body and has made it function from the get-go, you know. Every bit of information on how to run these systems was already in there. It keeps doing, and then it learns to walk, talk, and act according to its social program. Yeah? We bring our vasanas, and then we have our own social, all and everything provided by Ishvara, the life. We did not ask to be born here or there. If the body is an object and we are not the object, why should we worry about it, about the body? The body is Ishvara's concern, not ours, and Ishvara will do it with it whatever the law, its laws and rules will do. The system will do. The system requires, and it always does things, bring in consideration the benefit of the totality, the needs of the total. It's all about the needs of the total. It's not about one individual, one species, regardless of how we may feel about it. In this knowledge, there is peace. And guess what? Peace is happiness. We think that happiness is excitement. And now it says the nature of happiness is peace. Tranquility. Any questions? We need to stretch this last session so that we don't finish too soon.
James makes that apparently contradictory statement that you have free will as long as you think you're the jiva. And when you have the understanding and realize that you are not this separate jiva, you no longer have free will. And it's the first time I've kind of gathered it from this sentence. As an ignorant jiva, we think we are free to move in this field as we wish, when in fact the numberless conditions that brought us here don't leave room for any independent action. So it behaves as it does. And until that understanding happens, we are moving within this field and we bear the results of those actions that we take.
Very beautifully put, Dave. Very nice. Clear. Precise. That's the byproduct of understanding, knowledge. You understood the system. There was a misunderstanding before. I think that I'm the doer and the thinker and the feeler. Verse 8-7. He or she views apparently distinct objects endowed with acceptable and unacceptable qualities equally. So it's so nice to see objects when they are conforming to our likes and dislikes, when the qualities are acceptable to us, when we really like, oh, this is good. But then there are those objects that they don't conform to our likes, but with our dislikes. So that those are the unacceptable qualities of certain objects or life circumstance or situation. He or she views all these apparent distinctions between what conforms and what does not conform to my likes and dislikes, understands that because things, objects are what they are. They are value neutral. We give a subjective value to objects based on our likes and dislikes. The moment that our likes and dislikes are neutralized to a certain degree by this knowledge, we see them with equanimity. So we see those favorable qualities and unfavorable qualities of certain objects equally. No, there's no distinction, because life is, like a lot of modern teachers like to say, no? Life is. Isness is. And I understood it, and I don't care much whether it's going to conform to my preference or not. Life is what it is. What makes an object acceptable or unacceptable to us? Question. Our likes and dislikes. We like that which promises pleasure, and we dislike that which forebodes. What is forebodes, John?
Forebodes is like when you like a premonition of the future.
Okay, when you
very often in negative.
Okay, when you feel that it's a problematic object, potentially troublesome. Pleasure and dislike that which forebodes pain. So we are constantly appraising the objects that appear to us and either moving toward or away from them. We are praising, we are discriminating, we are looking at the objects and decide, so is it going to bring pleasure or pain? Is it something that I like or not? Our experience, when ruled by our likes and dislikes, is one of a constant agitation. Peace can only be superficial and fleeting. I think we have all understood this very clearly by now. Huh? To live a life driven by our likes and dislikes is a setup for suffering, frustration, anger, pain, psychological pain. When we are liberated, a Jiva Mukta, we know that happiness is not in the object, but it is in our very nature. It is our very nature. The criteria by which we judge objects are acceptable or unacceptable are thus removed. The criteria by which we judge objects, the criteria was my likes and dislikes. In fact, objects are realized to be non-separate from me, awareness, and the self is not divided in any way. Phenomena will still appear as manifestations of the gunas, that is, as expressions of Satya, Raja and Tamas, in various combinations. So the world does not disappear, that's again the same thing. The jiva remains, the mind remains, the world remains. It all belongs to Ishvara's domain. And the one, the jiva, with knowledge is in there, the world remains in reference to him and his body remains, actions happen before his eyes, but he understands that all of that belongs to Ishvara. And he has a good relationship with Ishvara. I say, Ishvara, by the way, I like to be here, I enjoy, and thank you, I'm grateful, but I'm before and beyond you. You are just an apparent phenomenon within the scope of my own consciousness, consciousness itself, awareness. Phenomena will still appear as manifestations of the gunas, that is, as expressions of sattva, rajas and tamas in various combinations, but will no longer react to this appearance, because we then neither desire nor fear the productions of Maya. We neither desire nor fear the productions of Maya.
But we are free to engage or not to engage. Doesn't mean that you don't react at all.
Yeah.
Respond.
Yeah, and you respond according to your nature. So you follow your nature, the nature that Ishvara gave to you in your process of evolution. And then you come out with a huge dispassion towards phenomenon, life itself, and you just respond for whatsoever time is left for the body, from that platform of knowledge, leaving everything that belongs to Ishvara, and then you go and you do your vegetable shopping, you cook, you wash your laundry, and why not? Huh? What else to do?
Lindo.
Yeah.
So these points are after moksha.
Yeah.
So, but then who is the chooser? Who is the decider of cooking and washing and on, if the jiva is no longer being identified by the one that is realized?
No, it's your awareness is no longer identified with the jiva. You understand?
And yet there is a jiva still performing.
The jiva is performing. Yeah. The jiva is thinking. The jiva has some preference, and he knows he needs to do it. I don't like doing the laundry. Oh, but I like it because it's good for me. I'm doing my duty. My wife does so much things for me, then I do the laundry. Right? The jiva is going to do its things. But you, being no longer fully identified as the individual, the know and the experience, you stand as awareness and you say, the jiva is doing, but I don't do it. You understand? It's life. That's why we say, to the eyes of the world, things appear as before. But only the jiva, mukta, knows what's going on. It's all the Lord playing this piece of equipment, and I stand aside as the witness, free from action, because I am actionless. Hi.
I'm here again.
Okay.
Ishvara does through the Shiva,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. That is what it means, losing the sense of doership and authorship of your actions. Is to understand. It's I understand, but it's difficult to put it in words, because it's not only here. It begins here, but then you see, but it's not seen. And then you just live that way, knowing that you are being done. You are not doing, you are being done. The Ishvara is doing, and the jiva is being done. You see, if we keep using language has limitation. You say, then you, and sometimes the you refers to here, and sometimes refers to here, sometimes refers to here. No. Because the jiva is not really a jiva. That's the bottom line. It appears as a jiva, but there is only one self, one I. The jiva thinks that he is doing. But then self-knowledge is going to determine that the jiva is being done. There is only life doing all of this. We call it Ishvara. It makes it easier for us. It's a system. It's a huge computer system, let's say, if we look in terms of high tech. Who's, no?
No, I don't know.
Okay,
It's
okay.
just for clarification, but I think
No, you can say, we have a few minutes.
so we need the steps could be to negate the jiva in the first place, then to understand that Ishvara is performing, doing,
Yeah.
and so on, and then so that Ishvara can what's the word for that? Can get kind of immuted or within awareness, right? I mean,
Yeah,
we saw,
yeah. Yeah, this is one level of the teaching. Is the one to you can be done with the sense of doership by just doing your satyamitya and understand that there is only consciousness, which this text does. We explore a little bit of Ishvara knowledge in here, for the purpose of making it also more of an introduction of Karma Yoga, especially for people who are new to Vedanta. But you can just determine you here as actionless, limitless, witness, free awareness, and then there is no problem. But most of the time, in order to be done with this, because people sometimes they realize that, but they did not develop their Ishvara knowledge, they did not understand, they get confused. They think, I am this, but then when he's called to act in the world, he thinks that he's the jiva acting. He does not understand that this is an impersonal system. And then he starts superimposing the jiva on awareness and think that the jiva, can get away with doing anything. Now they superimpose in that case awareness on the jiva, and then they say, no, the jiva can do anything because the jiva is awareness. No, just talk about two orders of reality. You understand?
I think it's easier to do the understanding in steps, and first to say, okay, no jiva, then you go to the next step. It's like, okay, you're kindly understanding and giving a little bit.
Yeah, that's why love, devotion to God is such a good first step.
Yeah.
It's usually the first step, most spiritual people, is to become a devote to God. You bring the concept of God and you start surrendering to God, loving God, and then when you see Karma Yoga comes into your life, Dharma, and then you start understanding how Ishvara functions, the system. And then all those the anxiety derived from believing that you are separating the independent entity here, having alone to control alone. When people get together, it's me, my wife, and my child. So you basically alone, you have to manage and control and secure your life. It's very stressful. And then when you understand Ishvara, the whole field of creation and its mechanics, and then what happens? It happens that the mind begins relaxing, and then you have a mind which is fit for self-inquiry and self-knowledge. So that's usually the process.
Yeah.
And in that process, by becoming a Karma Yoga, one purifies the mind from all those self-centered, self-gratifying desires and fears. So the understanding of Dharma and so on helps with that. So that is usually the natural thing. But in the West, a lot of people, they hear the final knowledge and they have a glimpse or they have an experience of the self or they realize the self, and then they keep superimpose Satya or Mithya, and saying, no, there is only Satya. Knowledge of Ishvara is the key for moksha and freedom, because without that, even if you get self-knowledge, chances are that this knowledge is going to be shaky, it's not going to be firm. Because there is a lot of ignorance up there that was not addressed and taken care, and they're going to be putting pressure on your self-knowledge. So which verse we are now? 88? He or she is not subject to elation when situations are in harmony with his likes and dislikes, or to depression when they are not. The same principle. When we know we are the self, we are no longer subject to the highs and lows that characterize the emotional life of those who identify with the body-mind. So everybody identified with the body-mind, they only want to, I want to be happy. I want to get high, excited. Yeah, I'm a winner. No? I'm not a loser. Go and get. I'm a go-getter. You know, it's in America. It's very like I'm a go-getter. And so we get those highs. But guess what? Every high has its lows. So life is like that. Boom, you know, up and down, up and down. Pleasures, that, like the scriptures say, pleasures and pains, pleasures and pains, pleasures and pains. So if you want self-knowledge and moksha, you're going to have to give up pleasures. My high of pleasures. Yes. Why not to stay with peace and contentment? Right? It's much better than the highs of pleasure. Pleasure, it feels high because of the contrast with the pain and suffering and stress to get what you want. It's like the story of that guru that gets everybody in a room and say, I'm going to give you an experience of the self, of moksha, and the freedom, and then have people drink a lot of water and say, you cannot pee on your pants and you cannot use the toilet. Have you heard about that guru? No? And then people that they start having full, and they cannot pee. The suffering, the pain is so big, and the guru say, you're gonna go to hell if you pee. The whole thing here is mind over body. You know? And then the poor disciples come a point that they cannot hold it anymore, and then they all pee. And then when they pee, they have this huge ecstasy, this huge happiness. It's really so happy. It's the biggest happiness. Why? Because there is a background of a lot of stress and pain and suffering. And then it looks like, whoa, it was the best time I ever had. It was worth paying $1,000. No, you're going to have to accept the fact that you are not going to have those highs. You're just going to live in peace, satisfaction, confidence, coolness. Cool in the good sense of the American culture. No, it's cool, man. It's cool. It's just a positive indifference to whatsoever life presents to you. I like this expression, a positive indifference. Now, when we hear indifference to the results or to the circumstance of life, I like to use this positive, so that people do not think that it's something a bit depressive. It's contentment, satisfaction, confidence, peace. So you don't go down, you don't go up, you just stay like that. Would it be will be the case to say half cooked? Just joke, a stupid joke.
Half-baked.
Half-baked, yeah. No, you're not half-cooked or half-baked, you're just cool. You never go into the oven. verse 8, he or she who is not subject to elation with situations like having a coffee break or tea break is free from depression, and it's time for a break.